A hot woman dumped her boyfriend for being just 4 feet tall. But she soon realized it was the biggest mistake of her life. Stay tuned to know the full video. Movie Up for Love begins in Paris, with the kind of elegance only French films can capture. The streets glow with warm lights, cafes spill laughter into the night, and people sit over wine and conversation like time itself doesn't exist. Among them is Diane, a successful lawyer who seems to have everything under control. She's smart, confident, beautiful, and she walks into a restaurant with the kind of poise that says she's used to being the one who sets the tone in any room she enters. She enjoys her dinner, speaks with the kind of ease that shows she's in her element, and then when she leaves, something small but life-changing happens. She forgets her phone. Not just any phone, her entire lifeline, the device that holds her contacts, her calendar, her professional secrets, and yes, probably the little distractions she pretends she doesn't use. At first she doesn't even realize it, but later that evening, her landline rings. That old-fashioned phone she almost never touches, suddenly becomes her connection to fate. On the other end of the line is a man named Alexandre. He found her phone at the restaurant and tracked her down. The moment he speaks, there's something about his voice. It's warm, calm, playful without being forced, and it has that quality that makes you imagine the man behind it is tall, confident, maybe wearing a well-tailored suit with a glass of wine in hand. What begins as a simple call about returning her phone stretches into a long conversation. They joke, they laugh, they flirt without realizing it. He tells her he's an architect, and the passion in his voice when he describes his work impresses her. She's hooked by his charm, and by the time she hangs up, she's smiling like a schoolgirl with a crush, surprised at how much one conversation could move her. The next day, they agree to meet so he can return her phone. She arrives at a cafe, dressed casually but perfectly, balancing that fine line between effortless and intentional. She scans the room, expecting a tall, dark-haired stranger with the kind of presence that matches his voice. Then Alexandra arrives, and reality does not meet her expectations. He is charming, he is smiling, he is everything his voice promised, except he is also only 4'5". The shock hits her instantly. She tries to mask it, but it flickers across her face. Alexandra, of course, notices. He's noticed that look 1,000 times in his life. But instead of letting it get awkward, he cracks a joke. He leans into the humor, carrying himself with confidence and charm that makes it impossible not to smile. Diane relaxes. Slowly, she realizes this man really is the one she laughed with for hours on the phone. His height is unusual, yes, but his personality is magnetic. And then Alexandra does something bold. He asks her out. Diane hesitates. Not because she doesn't want to go, but because society's voice is whispering in her head, the eternal, "What will people think?" Yet her heart answers for her, and she says yes. Their romance begins with a series of dates that are straight out of a romantic comedy. They go horseback riding. Diane mounts her horse like it's second nature, looking elegant and composed. Alexandra, on the other hand, turns it into a slapstick routine, climbing, pulling, struggling, inventing moves that look like a cross between gymnastics and acrobatics. He finally gets up there. And instead of being embarrassed, he laughs at himself and makes her laugh until tears roll down her cheeks. What could have been awkward becomes unforgettable. They walk through Paris, talking about their passions, their dreams, and their families. He speaks about architecture, with such love that it makes her admire him even more. She shares stories from her law career, and he listens with the kind of attention that makes her feel seen. Bit by bit, her hesitation fades, and she starts to see him as the man who makes her feel alive, not just as the man whose height turns heads, but the world has a way of intruding. When they go out together, people stare, some whisper, some giggle behind their hands. Alexandra notices, but he's lived with it all his life, and he brushes it off with humor. Diane, however, isn't as immune. She notices every laugh, every glance, and it makes her self-conscious. The situation gets worse when her ex-husband enters the picture. He's tall, arrogant, and smug, the kind of man who walks into a room and thinks he owns it. When he learns about Alexandra, he doesn't just laugh, he mocks. His cruelty is sharp, meant to humiliate. Diane tries to ignore him, but his words plant seeds of doubt. Despite this, her relationship with Alexandra deepens. They keep seeing each other, keep laughing, keep falling in love, until the dreaded family dinner. Meeting the parents is already stressful enough when your partner is exactly who your family expects. But in this case, Diane's parents are polite at first, but their discomfort shows. Her mother makes awkward remarks she doesn't mean to sound cruel but absolutely do. Her father is blunt, questioning how this relationship could ever work. The dinner is tense, awkward and heartbreaking. Alexandra senses it all. He knows Diane loves him, but he also sees the hesitation in her eyes. The doubt planted by everyone around her. Later they argue. Alexandra, with sadness but also honesty, tells her he won't stay in a relationship where he's half accepted. Love demands courage, he says. If she can't be proud of him, if she can't stand beside him without fear of judgment, then their love won't survive. Diane, hurt and confused, blurts out that she doesn't know if she's strong enough. The words hang heavy between them, and just like that, they part. The breakup devastates them both. Diane throws herself into work, winning cases and smiling in meetings, but every night she comes home to silence and the ache of missing him. She remembers the way he made her laugh, the way he made her feel young again. Nothing fills that void. Alexandra, meanwhile, pours his pain into architecture. He works endlessly, designing, building, pretending to be fine. His young son notices, though. The boy loves his father dearly and hates seeing the sadness in his eyes. Time passes, but the emptiness doesn't fade. Diane realizes the truth. The problem was never Alexandra, it was her fear. She let the stares, the whispers, the judgment of others control her. She cared more about what the world thought than what her heart felt. And in doing so, she lost the man who made her happiest. Determined not to repeat her mistake, she decides to win him back. The chance comes during a major architectural event, where Alexandra is presenting one of his biggest projects. The room is filled with important people in suits, dignified and serious, hanging on his every word. He's confident as always, speaking passionately about his work. And then Diane walks in. The entire room notices. Whispers ripple through the crowd. Alexandra freezes for just a moment, surprised to see her. She steps forward, her heart pounding, and takes the microphone. In front of everyone, she lays her soul bare. She admits her mistakes, admits she let fear and insecurity blind her. She tells the audience she doesn't care what anyone thinks anymore. She loves Alexandra, not in spite of who he is, but because of who he is. His humor, his intelligence, his warmth. She says he's the only man who makes her truly happy. The room is silent. Every eye is on them. And then, slowly, Alexandra smiles. For a man who has spent his life being underestimated, laughed at, stared at, this moment means everything. He walks to her, and right there on stage, in front of everyone, they kiss. The audience erupts in applause. The final moments show them together, happy, unbothered by stares. They walk hand in hand, laugh and share life with joy. Diane has finally embraced the truth. Love isn't about appearances, it isn't about society's standards. It's about connection, courage, and choosing happiness over fear. Up for Love ends with that timeless reminder that real love doesn't always look the way you imagine it. Sometimes it arrives in unexpected forms, and the only question is whether you're brave enough to hold on to it.